Hi, everybody. It's Jill here with Illuminating Women, and it's our girls' night out tonight. And we have a full house because a lot of us are feeling a lot because the Supreme Court justice that we're all been crying, I've been crying, RBG passed away, and she did a lot for us women. And Kelly is here tonight to talk about our self-care and how we can get through a lot of these things. And it's only together because what we believe in Illuminating Women and what RBG has done, and is that when we educate women, and when we encourage and empower women, we illuminate this world. And it's time for that feminine power to come forward. It is time for us ladies to come in a sacred space tonight, share, be blessed. And Kelly, oh my word, it's just such a divine thing to have you here tonight. I know you're going to shake things up a little bit because of what happened, and what a beautiful thing you are, an author, you are a mom, you are a woman that does so much. Darcy's here tonight. You are going to be in our conference, and you're going to support that with being a vendor and so many good things. So if you mind, just take it away tonight and share and tell us and just take us in tonight. Will you? Thank you, Kelly, for being here.
Thanks, Jill. Can you hear me? Everybody's good? Yeah, it's been a really intense evening and day. Like this year, there have been so many ups and downs for me personally, for all my friends, and really, this day represents the highs and lows of the year for me personally. So I want to talk to you about that before we go in. But before we go, I'd like to say a prayer, and I'm going to read what I wrote on my social post. My partner Nirmal and I wrote this together, and I'd like to read it, and everybody can close your eyes, take a few deep breaths. Really ground in to a space of whatever you call prayer, whatever you call release for this gorgeous feminine human that uplifted all of us, that we never thought would leave this earth. Because I think grief is really important and it's powerful to support her work. So I'm going to read a few things that I wrote on my social. Real change, enduring change, happens one step at a time. Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Ruth Bader Ginsburg was a pioneer, revolutionary, and a cultural icon who tirelessly fought for justice and gender equality until the very end. And when I say the very end, she showed up last night. I don't know if you heard, but she showed up last night at a virtual event. She was proof that power and courage can exist beyond a soft voice and a gracious heart. Together, we mourn the loss of this American shero. In the words of Ian Mills Heiser, Ginsburg saw President Franklin Roosevelt lift America out of the Great Depression. She saw Nazism crushed, and she saw Jim Crow beaten into submission. She saw her mother alive with talent, but unable to use it in a sexist age. And she swore to free women from that existence. And then she did it. Justice Ginsburg died an optimist because she's seen the impossible happen. She made much of it happen herself. R.I.P. RBG. In this incredibly uncertain time, may your kindness and enormous contributions to liberty and justice for all continue to inspire each and every one of us. I just think it's really important to realize that this woman uplifted us. She moved us forward. She not only moved women forward, she moved humanity forward. So I want to talk, I was going to do this whole thing tonight, you guys, about boundaries and hard conversations and self-care. And it just, as I'm hearing all of you talk, as I'm hearing all of you grieve, and just even if it's not about Ruth about the Supreme Court justice. It's about where we are right now and us being like, okay, the 1-2 punch, boom, like what else can we handle this year? I want to give some light at the end of the tunnel. Today, I had the honor and the privilege in the morning to interview Elizabeth Lesser. Do you see this book? If anybody's seen this book or heard of it, she just wrote it. Elizabeth Lesser has been a shero of mine for many, many years. She is the founder of the Omega Institute. She has tirelessly, she's another RBG, in a different way. She has tirelessly really fought for women's rights. And I got to interview her, and the book is called, which is so amazing because I'm the founder of Women for One, which is a place where you can come and share your story. I've done it for 10 years. I did it out of my intuition. I actually heard God or the universe or whatever you call that speak to me and say, you need to tell women's stories. So this book is called Cassandra Speaks. When Women Are the Storytellers, the Human Story Changes. I did that this morning at 10 a.m. I was riding on a high. I was considering recently not closing Women for One, but shifting it and allowing someone else to take it over. With a few things that have happened in the past month, I've really taken, listened to my gut and really taken the advice of Elizabeth Lesser, who is hosted a radio channel for Oprah, has been on her 20 times. And after I spoke with her today, decided, hell no, I'm not letting go of this. So I am inspired right now. And I want all of you to know that of who I am as a woman, as a mom of 3 kids and 3 stepchildren, as an incest survivor, as a feminine being in this world that all of us needs to. I'm sorry, I'm just very emotional tonight about this. It really, really hit me hard. I never thought this woman would be gone. And I grounded into her strength. I grounded into Elizabeth Lesser's strength. So to have the high of interviewing someone like this, which I've interviewed a lot of powerful women, but Elizabeth Lesser is like rocking it. She is the real thing. She is allowing us to feel our feelings, be women, be unapologetic about it, and having us get awareness about the fact that we as women need to change the story of the world, and we are the ones that's going to shift everything. So I don't mean to be this feminist radical, but hell yes, that's what I am right now. It's just like, and I wanted to talk to you about this, and I don't know where I'm going with this because I have this whole thing prepared tonight, and I'd love to interact with each of you, but I kind of wanted to start with this because it's just where I am right now, Jill. It's where I am. So I don't know if you have anything to say before I move forward, Jill. Does anybody have any comments about that, about what I've said, especially Tracy?
And feel free to put a note, and I'll allow Darcy to unmute herself and participate. And you're right. And I think, Kelly, to talk a little bit about the pain. Why are we feeling this at a visceral point? Because you, like a lot of women, we've listened to other women's stories when they have not had that opportunity. And this is why this a powerful woman that passed away today is hard for all of us, because she saw it in the law and she helped fight laws to protect women. So, I would love to have you just go ahead and just let the spirit lead you today, lead from the heart, and you may find some of the things you're going to talk about today with boundaries, with self-care, can create itself in there. So go right ahead.
Thank you. And Tracy, did you have something to say? I saw you unmute yourself. No. Okay. I would say that this book, and I'm leading with it again, what it did for me in reading it is make me understand that we all as women need to have an awareness of how the story has been told to us as human beings in this world, because patriarchy is in our DNA. Like, it is who we are. But if we get awareness and we look up from our world and we honor each other, like Jill is doing right now, we, with this group, we honor ourselves. We don't go into self-shame. We don't go into imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is, and we talked about it today on the call with Elizabeth Lethler, it's this space of feeling like we are never enough as women. And we always have to like be better and look good and be great. And that is what I am trying to do with Women for One, is have women share their stories from all over the world so we understand each other, so that we can honor who we are and we can understand one another, even if we disagree on politics, on the COVID, on anything. We have to be able to communicate. So I definitely wanted to just recommend this book, and I just felt it was very aligned because I spoke with Elizabeth this morning feeling very inspired. And also, I'm inspired by RBG. Like, she left this legacy, and it's our responsibility to move it forward as leaders in this world, as women that are awake. We have to take the steps now in our lives, like Tracy is doing, what she's doing, like Jill is doing, like all of you are doing. We have to take those steps to move forward, because it's almost like honoring her and honoring all her work, because I can't imagine doing what she did. And so I just have to do my baby steps and move forward. So that is my honoring of RBG. And now I'm going to go into what I was speaking about. Does anybody have anything they want to share before we move forward on that? Because I'd love to hear any comments from you about this.
Well, can I share something?
Yes, please.
I don't know if I can. I'm going to go and I'm going to change the light. I'm going to go where it's private. So I read her book a couple years ago, the Notorious RBG, and I'm a recovering fundamentalist. I come from a situation where women were really suppressed, and their value, we were taught that she was an evil woman, and that her message was all about deceiving women. So as I've been stepping out of fundamentalism and recovering and reading what a powerful and beautiful soul she was, I just see how easy it is for us to be taken captive by our insecurities, by our conditioning, by our upbringing. And it takes courage to dig down deep, to admit our weaknesses, our ability to be taken captive. And it takes a lot of work to be courageous and step into a different path. And, I felt like oftentimes I would take her book and have to find it and read it in the dark, because if I got found out, because I lost my life as I knew it for many years, my friends. And so her death touches me in a very profound way. But when I heard that she died, what I thought was, oh my God, let me die with such a legacy. And I want to be known as someone who was courageous enough to admit she was deceived and then move forward in a brighter light. And so I'm very touched, and I hear you about her message. And we as women need to be the ones that write the story of truth, and not of fear, and not of conditioning, and not of patriarchy, and not of a religion that binds women up. And so that's what I have to say.
Sharon, that was so beautiful.
Yeah.
We could all feel that you're just coming from the heart.
So thank you.
That was
Thank you for letting me
amazing.
share.
Thank you, Sharon. Thank you. Anyone else? I don't know about all of you, but I'm just like taking this in. And I feel so supported by having all of you on this call. It's beautiful. And I think we can take that legacy of RBG with us, with everything we're doing. I love that you said that, Sharon. It's like, let's be inspired. Our greatest honoring of her can be to make those small steps, those large steps towards really dispelling the myths of the stories that women have been told about themselves, because really it's all about our own self, right? It's all about how we feel about ourselves. Yes, it's about relationship as well and how we go out in the world, but it starts with us. And that's what Jill is trying to do and doing with this conference. She's talking about self-care. It's the most important thing right now with everything that's going on in this world. And that's what I'd love to talk a little bit about tonight, because I want to ask all of you, and you can type it in the chat box, you can turn on your microphone and talk. How do you define self-care? Because I'd really like to dive into that tonight. Like, how do you define self-care for yourself?
I think that's a really good question. And I think it is up to every woman. For some of us, for me, it's taking a hike in the woods. It's listening to music. It's taking a hot bath. It's some of those things that can, and as Tracy's got her dog in her arms, which is just so stinking cute to see. And this is self-care, because every single one of you ladies tonight could have done something for somebody else, read a book, watched TV or whatever. Instead, you showed up tonight because you felt something inside of you. So that's part of self-care. I feel.
That's right. Yes. So how I define self-care, just so all of you know, is I define it as it's not just about, like, sometimes it is avoidance. Sometimes, I mean, God, I have 6 kids, right? Sometimes I just want to check out. I turn my phone off. I get in a bath. I these specific things. But real true self-care for me is stepping outside of myself a little, looking at what's going on, having boundaries, right? Having real boundaries about what I'm doing for others. And that's important as a caregiver for me personally. Even if you're not a mom, I think it's really important to have boundaries with others, because women are known as caretakers and just giving of ourselves all the time. And getting the big picture in mind, like, what is it that I want to do? The other thing for me with self-care is gratitude. Gratitude is huge for me. If I get into that negative mindset, I try to catch myself and have an awareness to go, wait a minute, let's just step back, first world problems. And it's not demeaning what's going on for me, it's owning it, but also just going, okay, I need to have gratitude for where I am right now. And yes, like you said, Mary, like also creating, appreciating the beauty, traveling, yes. And not rushing frantically throughout life, being present to myself and others, educating myself, showing up, being present, being at the beach, which is so great, being with my dogs and listening to the birds. I mean, these are all so, perfect. But also, I think for me, self-care is about taking an inventory of my life. Sometimes I have to get very present for myself and let go of the outside world and go, wait a minute, what is it that I need in this moment? What is it that feeds me? And getting really clear around that to make conscious choice moving forward. And that's what I define as self-care. Does that make sense to all of you guys? I think it's really important to do that. So how many of you, and I don't even need to ask this question, but it was one of my questions, have had challenges with politics, COVID, racism, everything in the last several months? Raise your hand, because I have. Everybody, woo! We're all there, right? We are all in the same boat. So I like this from Mary. My challenges are with people's selfishness and greed and ignorance. Yeah, I would agree with that. It's so true, right? I mean, I've been energetically, emotionally drained. I mean, we are in a time that is unprecedented. Like, I'm preaching to the choir, right? I don't have to say this to all of us. And we are the caretakers. It's been a really tough year. And I want to give you kind of a personal example of where I've been so that you kind of understand, because when we look at who we are as people, right? Everybody's going through something. Everybody's coming through a challenge. But 2020 for me, pardon my French, has been a shit show. And not only with everything else going on, but my best friend's husband had a major stroke in the middle of me having a cancer procedure. Okay, and I had to cancel the cancer procedure and fly to North Carolina, 2 weeks before COVID started, to be there for my best friend, who's my sister, right? Then my daughter had a breakdown at college and called me suicidal. And I'm telling you all this, it's not a victim thing. It's where I am. And I'm in North Carolina and I'm dealing with that. And I go, okay, now I have to fly back and deal with that. So I believe that the universe does this thing where it's like throws pebbles at us, right? Pebbles, then a boulder. It's like, when are you going to pay attention, Kelly? When are you going to stop giving and outputting? When are you going to come back in? When are you going to go, okay, you know what? This is about you now. This is about your family. And this is about your health. This is about your emotional, spiritual, physical health. And so that's kind of where I was in February. And I think about that now and I'm like, wow, and Lorraine, we've been through a lot together. Like, Lorraine and I have dealt with one of our best friends dying of cancer. I was going through a divorce. Like, we've been through a lot, but this year was particularly challenging because that was before COVID happened. And then COVID happened and all this other stuff happened. And all it did for me was made me go in. It made me go into gratitude. It made me go into a space of like, I need to really look at what's going on in my life, take inventory, like I talked about with self-care, and slow down. And I will tell you right now, I don't know if any of you are interested in this, but that woman in the top left corner, Jill, and this is what sisterhood is about, made a choice to support me for every single day while I was going through my cancer treatment. And there's just something about those sisters that take care of you. I mean, Jill and I, we don't know each other that well, but she made a choice, like, you're part of my tribe and this is what I'm going to do for you. And I think we find those women, we hold on to them, and we move forward and embrace, because a lot of us like, oh, I don't need that. We embrace the giving of people. A lot of us don't do that. And we think, oh no, we're too strong. We can't handle, I can handle this. Or why is she doing that? There must be a reason, right? No, this was complete pure giving. And I at first I was like, why would you do that? Like, that was my first, like, because I'm not a trusting person on that level sometimes. And then I just accepted it. And every day I softened and I softened and I softened. And I have to read to you something really quickly. I'm sorry, I'm going on my soapbox, but at the end of Cassandra Speaks, which Cassandra really is about mythology, a woman that was, you'll have to read
So
about
Kelly, was it because I kept sending you jokes, kind of like
yes, you supported me every day, sending me
pooping little
jokes.
candy canes?
Yes,
That was kind of like my thing. Yeah.
So this is what someone said. So Cassandra Speaks, and the women that keep supporting what a woman named Roshi Joan Halifax said. And I don't know if you've ever heard of Joan Halifax, but she's one of my teachers, and write her name down because she's one of the greatest teachers I've ever met. She talked about having a soft heart, but a strong backbone. Soft heart, strong backbone. And that's what all of us need. And that is what Justice Ginsburg had. Okay. She had a soft, open, powerful, beautiful heart, but a strong ass backbone. And I feel like if each of us look into ourselves, that's Jill, right? That's what she did for me. She had the strong house, but you know, Jill has or Sharon, I'm sure you know she has a strong backbone. Like there's this place where we all need to be that more. So here I go going off on RBG again, but that's just what I'm doing tonight. I'm kind of all over the place, so apologies. So does anybody have any comments about what I'm saying now or anything that you want to add? Because this really is about all of us connecting.
I want to add, I just sent out the Power of She newsletter tonight, and I don't do it, my intern does. And to piggyback off what you had just shared, there's a woman who turned 100, an amazing life. She's still alive, but when asked for her advice, you know, her life advice, it was basically, you know, have good girlfriends because you're going to need them, you know. And I know that yeah, that's it. I know that's really important in my life, and I'm really blessed to have the really close friends that I have and friendly acquaintances, and then just a larger circle of people who are positive and support me. So yeah, what you're saying, really, thank you so much.
Thank you. So back to what we were saying about boundaries, inventory, gratitude, self-care. I wanted to just briefly chat about something that I think is really important for all women, because especially right now, you know, I went in and I had this whole transformation of my life and self-inventory after what had happened to me in the earlier part of the year. And I had a lot of time, like we all did, right? Sitting at home and self-reflecting and figuring out what I was doing next. And I realized, well, now I have to kind of go back out in the world, right? And we all do have to do that. We have to have boundaries. We have to learn how to effectively communicate. And so at Women for One, I have a course called How to Have a Hard Conversation. And I think right now, if there's any time to employ this course, it's now. And so I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about communication before we got off the call tonight, because it just gives us a little bit of an awareness. And if you want to receive any of the handouts that I'm going to share my screen with, email us, and Darcy, you can put it in at darcy@womenforone.com or Kelly, because we'll just send them to you. But I wanted to show you this one tool that changed my life. I was in a healing school and I created this tool from the healing school. And you know, some of you might be like, oh, this is basic communication 101. But I want you to see, let me see, where we go here. Oh, I have to share my screen, right? Jill, hold on. Share screen. So this is my communication chart. So I want everyone to kind of just look at this. I think, you know, if there's anything tonight you could take out of this, it can, you know, you could figure out an awareness of how you communicate and just be real with yourself about it, because it really helped me and it changed my life to look at this. Because the goal is, let me just take it to the second page. The goal is, can everybody see that? I'm trying to make it a little smaller, but I don't know how to. To understand your communication type. So for example, you get into a fight with your best friend, or, you know, a woman that you're really close with. And what is your communication style? And you can, you know, you can have this chart after and just look at it, because I think it's really important, because when you learn and have an awareness of how you communicate, you can then have boundaries. You can then communicate effectively around all your disagreements, right? About, you know, and I know there's a lot of you out there that go, okay, well, I'm never going to speak to someone that supports Trump or Biden, like, you know, or I'm never going to speak to someone that wouldn't wear a mask. This is what's going on right now you know, my goal at Women for One is to elevate the conversation, to break down those boundaries so that we can actually employ some tools that we can learn to communicate. Because if we can't communicate, we're never going to have any solutions. And I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but I'm just saying, you know, I posted something the other day going, stop being Democrat, Republican, just be kind. That's why I wore this tonight. It's like, be brave, be kind, like be courageous, right? speak your truth, but have a compassion, have empathy about what someone else's story is and where they are with things. Because if we're making everybody bad and blaming and playing the blame game, like people I know in this world, and, you know, I'm going to be honest, and you know what, I'm not getting into politics, Jill, but I'm going to be honest. For Kelly, I don't like that our president blames and is racist and all these things. I can't deal with it. So, but if I have a friend that sees a different perspective, I'm not going to unfriend them and hate them, because that for me is the crux of the issue. If we're going to communicate, we have to figure out how to communicate. And that's what I'm talking about with this communication chart. So let's take something simple, like you have an issue with a friend, right? Your friend was rude and blamed you for everything. What is your communication type? Are you passive? You sit there and, oh yeah, that's right, you know, you're right. Or you just avoid, right? You take all the blame and tell your friend you wouldn't blame them if they hated you. Passive aggressive, which is my least favorite, because nobody wins. Because passive is about you win, I lose. Passive aggressive, neither one of us wins, which I've had a lot of women in my life. Raise your hand if you've ever had it, because I think everybody here has. They hold grudges, they don't talk about it, they, you know, avoid confrontation, right? So you're not good at apologies, so you ghost them for a while or send funny memes or Twitter and pretend nothing happened. Who's had that? Raise your hand. Come on, somebody. Yeah, thank you. Aggressive. I kind of, you know, and you have to own who you are. I'm a little aggressive, right? So you got to own it. Like, I'm not sitting here blaming myself. Sometimes I get mad and I go into blame, right? So I know I can feel that way with certain people. So good at talking, but not so much at listening. Tells it like it is. You know, they fume over how awful they were to you, and maybe even tell them so. But of course, you're totally willing to make amends. That is, if they apologize first, right? So that's aggressive. Now, assertive is my favorite, because it's the win. You win, I win, right? You apologize, you acknowledge that things got a hand, you suggest you sit down and figure out how to resolve it together. Now, I'm not saying being an assertive communicator is going to win you a resolution. I'm saying that you will feel clean and you will feel good about who you are. So, you know, you're open, you're trustworthy, you try not to take it personally, you go into the big picture more, you make space for that conflict, you don't make it about them being a bad person, you just go, oh, we're disagreeing, right? And then you state your own needs and listen to what their needs are. So I wanted to share that with you, because I think right now, if you as leaders, as women in this world, can take this information and have that awareness, which I think a lot of you know this information, but really dive deep and ask yourself and get very real about what kind of communicator you are in different situations, you can take that out to your families, to your friends, to your colleagues, and really be the change that we need in this world. You know, RBG would be proud of us if we could all be more effective communicators, where we're standing up for what we believe in, but not going into blame and anger about things. So I wanted to share that, and I wanted to ask all of you if there's anyone here that would share, like, what kind of communicator they feel they are.
My name is Tracy, and I'm aggressive.
Thank you, Tracy.
But not all of that there. But yeah, for sure.
Right.
I'm right there with you, Tracy.
Thank you, Sue. Anyone else?
Rima, I'd love to hear Rima. Brain, just tell us, just give a quick little thing, because I think it's important we all kind of punch in, and Diane, you too, and Jean.
I think I'm more passive in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Who said I'm a Dutch direct? What does that mean?
That's Laura. Nicolette. Nicolette, tell us, Darylyn. You have to unmute yourself.
Yeah, I thought you were doing it. No, I'm just Dutch. Yeah, with a little bit of American, but yeah, I'm not too passive, I'm not too aggressive, but you know, if you ask my opinion, you get my opinion. and I will not say anything else about that. You just asked for my opinion, so I give you my opinion. So it's very open and very easy to communicate because, you know, I'm very tired, so there's nothing hidden. So that is my
Great.
style.
So
That's
I
wonderful.
love that, Kelly. Can we just talk a little bit, because that's cultural right now. The Dutch can look at Americans and think, oh my gosh, you guys are arrogant, you know, or this or that about Americans. And Nicolette has taught me, but we have New Yorkers here too.
Yeah, it's also East Coast.
I know, that's a little East Coast. And it's this little bit of a thing. And I think it's interesting. Is there any way we can kind of talk a little bit about between culture and that sort of thing?
Culture, oh, absolutely. Well, I mean, we could talk about culture inside the US. Like, I always am like, I grew up in the South. So everybody was very like, oh, that's passive aggressive, right? But I don't know if it's passive aggressive. It's either passive or aggressive in the South. And then I moved to the Northwest and I find it to be more passive aggressive, to be honest. Like, it's very like, oh, just the steady face, right? So you can do that with all kinds of cultures, you know, but I think the most important thing, Jill, is for us to understand personally who we are in different situations. Like, I'm a different communicator with men than I am with women. I'm a different communicator with my children than I am with my employees and with my friends. Like, I watch it. If I feel safe, I can move right into assertive communication. But I think the challenge is to challenge ourselves when we, you know, look at the place when we have an awareness of when you feel constricted, when your body feels constricted, when you feel in blame, when you feel like a victim. Then take this chart and go, why do I feel this way? And then work, you know, why I have this hard conversation, this toolkit. It's like, work it, because we all have to practice, because in every situation it's going to be different. It's not just cultures, but situations with people.
Bravo, bravo.
Yeah. So, I think tonight it's really important because we as women are the storytellers. We have to embrace our voices. We have to start telling our own stories. And if we can do that assertively, not aggressively, not passive aggressively or passively, we can change. We are changing the world. We are, as women, completely changing the world. And that's really what I wanted to share tonight. I mean, I have so much more, you know, I always have way too much more, but
Kelly, you're right on, because a lot of us are from a generation that we're in that shift, that we are in that little period in that change of that shift of women in a generation that we didn't challenge, we didn't do that. And I see it all the time where I'm trying to get women to put the oxygen mask on themselves first. We talk about this a lot. A man and a woman looking at a job, and a woman says, there's 10 qualifications, I only meet 8, I won't apply. A man goes, I only meet 2, I'm applying anyway. So there is still a lot of that we're working through. And this is why I look at culture, because I'm married to an archaeologist, so I can't help myself. My minor is anthropology, but it's also looking at culture, and this is why I love about New Yorkers being here and all of us coming together, because it is our experiences. It is those things that help us. But today I feel like today we're reminded again on the shoulders of women who went before us, and may we never forget, and may we rise higher. Does that make sense?
yes. And I completely agree with everything you're saying. And I keep going back to, like, Cassandra Speaks, the book, and it resonated with me because it's a place where women can gain awareness of how the patriarchal culture is weaved into every single belief system, everything we do by ourselves, everything we've learned. And so when we look up and go, wow, you know, about our body shame, about our not good enough, about what you just said, right? About the job, about our caretaking not being good enough. How cool would it be for our society to have this space of men saying, gosh, I just really want to take care of the children for you, you know, instead of, can you babysit? Right? You know, it's like, no, you know, and we're getting there. I mean, there's a lot of men out there that are getting there, but it's also in our DNA. It's programmed in us. So I believe the solution, and that's why I bought into this book, and what Elizabeth Lesser's saying and what Oprah's saying is we have to be the change we see. We have to start walking our talk and doing it. And that's where why I'm talking about like simple communication and owning what our self-talk is and what we believe in ourselves.
Oh, I love your self-talk. And there's been some great conversations like Sharon's brought about the curiosity, not assumptions, being understanding,
Yes,
being
right.
gentle. Tracy's talked about the money. Women and money is so important. And Sharon shared a book called The Women's Encyclopedia of Myths and Secrets. Ooh.
Beautiful, Sharon. Oh, so excited. Yes. And Sharon, get this book, Cassandra Speaks. It's awesome. But, you know, also, I think honoring what men have shown us, what the patriarchy has shown us. Like, I love being able to strategize. I love being able to, you know, those masculine qualities that I've learned. But I also would love to sit in a meeting and when I'm emotional, cry in front of men and not be embarrassed or apologize, right? Because this is our power. This is who we are as women. So this is where we all need to come to. And I think tonight coming together, you know, in this red tent, in this beautiful space of supporting one another with what's going on today as we grieve one of the most amazing women in history leaving this planet, I think we need to be in that space of holding it for one another and knowing and committing all of us tonight to say, I'm going to make a change. I am going to move forward and take those steps to be that change for everything in this world.
And Kelly, I love this. I'm going to stop the video so we can dive into some deeper conversation. So if people wanted to reach out to you, what are some ways can they find you and work with you?
Well, you can email me at kelly@womenforone.com. You can email Darcy as well. I have these two handouts that I showed you, and then also another handout on the Hard Conversations toolkit. And I'm also decided, speaking of worth, I've decided to start an affiliate program, which we have incredible momentum on, where we have a lot of women in my community signing up to sell the Hard Conversations toolkit right now, because what better time to do it than now before the election and during COVID and during this Black Lives Matter time, which it should be forever. So feel free, I'll do a 15-minute call with you. Feel free to reach out to me. I'd love to connect with each of you. And I really appreciate your time tonight. And I just feel honored that I could actually share my grief and my belief system and my words still with all of you tonight. So thank you.
And you blessed us. You absolutely blessed us, because regardless, we are women and we're here to support and hold space, even when we may not agree, but we're still holding space to love and to deep. And this is why every on this call tonight is of a great value. So everybody else stay on. We're going to dive a little deeper. And Kelly, I'm going to stop the video.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. You can check us out on illuminatingwomen.com. And man, lady, you so rocked it again tonight, as always, and perfectly, divinely, timely. So blessings. And we're going to carry on. This is why you want to be on.
Thank you, Jill.
Ladies, thank you so much. Blessings, everybody. Bye-bye.